तो एक टाइम था मेरा पर्सनल हैंडल होता था जब मैं घर पे बोलता था कि मैं इस कंपनी में काम करता हूँ, बाउंस पे काम करता हूँ, तो किसी को कुछ समझ नहीं आता था क्योंकि बहुत सारे रिलेटिव सोचते थे कि इट्स नॉट अ रियल जॉब, या वो या कि उन्होंने 4 टेक कंपनीज के नाम सुने तो वही है. आई हर्ड सो मेनी स्टोरीज ऑफ माई टीम लाइक दैट. और सडनली मतलब कुछ सालों में ये चेंज हो गया है. अभी बहुत परसेप्शन चेंज हो गया है कि आप स्टार्टअप में काम कर रहे हो फ्रॉम अ सोसाइटी स्टैंड पॉइंट. तो ये आपने ऑब्जर्व किया है और आपके क्या थॉट्स हैं?
I think you're right. I think last 5 years startup का एक तो मीडिया में बहुत कवरेज है. I think then Shark Tank and those kind of things have really changed the
You think it has helped?
help to the extent कि startups in general are somewhat understood by like a lot of people now. And I think to some extent it is considered kuch to hai, it's not like some sham, it's something real and positive. So I think that has helped. I'm remembering that time, I think 2010 mein. See, what also happens is like when the startups exit or Flipkart announced $700 million ESOP, one is also from an employee perception that changes. Because one is to work and get the salaries. And I think because this bull market, they managed to raise a lot of money and pay very high salaries, which was not the case 6-7 years ago. And then this exit things happen and all. So then people get that additional sort of confidence. But I think secularly, with the 100 unicorns and the narratives have been there over the last 5, 6, 7 years, to more and more people understand, more and more parents understand. So if you were to ask my son, I don't work in startups. If you were to ask my son who's 14, what does he do? He just goes to the office and orders Swiggy. So no, but I'm interested in jokes. But yeah, I think secularly, obviously, there's more and more awareness, and Shark Tank and others have probably done a lot in the last 2-3 years.
Even government, there is something called as National Startup Day. Also.
Yeah.
And the government is talking about it.
No, I think that also helps because I think when Modi ji is seen with startups and it comes with the press, there are a lot of followers, so they also believe ki it's good. Maybe it's missionary.
There are some government funds as well. Right?
Yeah. I think the government has not done small things. They've done some pretty big things. One of them is the fund of funds. I believe something like 10,000 crores, which has a multiplier effect because it is given to other domestic VC funds to invest in startups.
Okay.
And I think that has had a big impact. So if you see in the last 5 years or so, the share of domestic managers has increased in the deals. And like I was saying before, more and more ground up disruptions and startups will come, which I think to some extent will be appreciated more by domestic people who lived and breathed in India. They are not carrying any overseas baggage. And so this will all become a more and more virtuous kind of cycle. And that's needed because foreign money to some extent is always volatile because they're taking a global view.
But is the West also looking at India like this in terms of...
No, over time, obviously, interest has increased. Also, this whole China plus one. But China plus one is not only India. If you see, a lot of US FDI has gone to Mexico and others also. Southeast Asia. India is definitely a part of the calculus. And that has been there. I mean, the West US VC funds landed in a serious way in India, almost 20 years ago, 2004, 5, 6, some of them started landing deeply. So that has always been the case. But I'm saying it can be volatile because like you've seen some of the bigger hedge funds stopped investing. So that capital has a little volatility to it. That is why the importance of domestic capital, which is wedded to the India thesis, believes in it, is not going to go away, is very important, right? Ultimately, you have to build your own base. Like you see in the Indian stock market, the percentage of equity holdings of domestic retail households and all has kept increasing over time. And that's a wonderful thing. The SIPs are just growing like anything. So that is important also in the evolution of the capital markets.